Well, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Talking about right here, talk about for job opportunities right here, talk about for coming soon. And I know a few of us probably have already seen this already before, but talking about is that whenever you meet somebody and talk to somebody in person, and actually, a lot of times whenever you do send in an application for a job opportunity, that most of the time that they're going to ask you to where if we can go ahead and talk over the phone. And a lot of times it sure seems that way. The hiring managers are going to ask about that. I'm like, can we talk over the phone, Mister? Or I'm like, yeah. If it's a somebody, Michael, yeah, somebody. If you're going to be applying for a job, that a lot of times that's usually what's requested. Like, if we can go and talk over the phone and talk a little bit about what is it that you do. And so a lot of times it sure seems that way that yeah, whenever you do apply for a job, it sure seems that way that you go ahead and say something like, yeah, well, coming soon or something like that on your resume. But what exactly does that mean necessarily? Michael, are we talking about that, something that you can do that possibly that's guaranteed for the hiring opportunity? And a lot of times that's usually what I have to say is that whenever I do say something like coming soon, that yeah, that's really, you would need a phrase that is like as to where if you are a business owner, if you're self-employed or something like that, that you would go ahead and say something like coming soon, coming soon opportunity, or coming soon to a business near you or something like that. So I don't really know if I would put that on a resume, but like everybody else will probably say, maybe for a business site that you would go ahead and say something like that. But like you say, by say that, yeah, well, most of the time, though, that whenever you look at a resume, though, that everybody else might even say that, well, really, that if you're going to be, if somebody's going to be looking at your resume, it's possible it could be the doctor, the doctor or the nurse that could look at your resume, and they might, want to find your number, or if anything, they just want to verify, the contact information or something like that. So a lot of times it sure seems that way. That whenever you do have a resume handy, it's just like a grade book. It's just like a grade report to where that your resume is going to is going to provide information such as what is it that you do, and if anything, people may say that, well, really, that if you're available for maybe dinner for Saturday night or something like that, Saturday afternoon or maybe Monday afternoon if you're available for dinner. So it sure seems that way that coming soon can mean a number of things, can it? And people may think that well, really, the COVID vaccines, especially like the doctor's appointments and the COVID vaccines, and maybe the relief plan or anything like that. So it sure seems that way that that the first thing that you think about, talk about for coming soon. And so we want to know that if you were to look that up in the dictionary about coming soon, and you might want to know is toward, okay, coming soon means is that, yeah, within 3 weeks or so, that there might be some changes going on for how companies do business, or it could also maybe be about is toward new hiring, teams, coming in, or, maybe, inventory coming up or something like that. But really, though, that why would you want to put that on a resume? And so it sure seems that way that really, how does it all start, and for any reason at all, that why you would need to proceed with that idea. But I could probably say that, yeah, whenever you do apply for a job, especially, yeah, especially whenever you do apply for a job, that you want to be flexible with them and tell them that, what is it that you do, and yeah, just like, tell me more. And but I just really think too that that you don't really want to start out with a dull resume. What I mean by dull resume, I'm talking about a resume that don't really stand out very well and explain all that you do, and people may think as toward it. Whenever you first were introduced, whenever you do fill out a resume, it sure seems that way. That most of the time, though, that you're going, you're having to start out with, your contact information and maybe the things that you're good at. Most of the time, it is what you require for the skills that you're good at. Number one, but let's just say if you can't list all of them, or if you cannot provide all of the important information that for what you're capable of learning, maybe within the 8 weeks since you apply for this job. So it sure seems that way. That when somebody finds your resume, that you're probably thinking is that like anybody else will probably say too, that when somebody finds your resume, that you're probably thinking is toward a coming soon. Mike, can coming soon mean anything such as maybe dating or maybe training? So, like anybody say that we're really that whenever you first apply for a job, that you go ahead and submit your application to this website, and it's possible somebody else could also retrieve that resume, and then it's possible that it could go a number of ways. And so sure, I'm like, I've been there to where it sure seems that way, that whenever you do have a resume, and if somebody finds your resume, and it sure seems that way, that a lot of things that take a lot longer than expected and all. But I just really think though that you want to go ahead and include something like coming soon on your resume, and maybe I'm like, soon as I'm like, 12 hours, you want to set a few goals, and maybe you want to say something like, impressive at the matter or something like that, or I'm able to achieve. I'm like, you want to go ahead and write a separate cover letter telling everybody that you want to go ahead and start out with by introducing what you do. Is that, it's going to be very impressive to your company. And, whenever we do talk in person, I'll go and show you a little bit of the resources that I have available, just so I can explain a little bit more to you about that. So it sure seems that way that whenever we talk about resumes, though, that you're probably thinking is that, well, really, though, that when we say coming soon, though, that's usually meaning is toward it's not here yet, but within about 3 weeks it'll be available. So it's like, it's another way of how you want to stay is to where for advertising, no. But most of the time, whenever I do, whenever I put in a request for information about something, a lot of times it's about phone calls. And so a lot of times, though, it sure seems that way that whenever you do apply for a job, that a lot of these companies are not corresponding with you just by that document. They're corresponding with you by your phone, by mobile context. So it's like, it sure seems that way to where that companies are going to be asking for what's a good number to reach you by, and what's your email address. So so it sure seems that way to where that people may think is toward that whenever you do apply for a job, though, that at the time that whenever you go through that whole application process, that you weren't toward it. Why is it that you cannot save? How come that it takes about at least 25 minutes to a half an hour to fill out an application, that compared to if you're going to be applying, and but anybody say that well, may not be no guarantee that you'll get the job, but on your resume that and at the time, it sure seems that way. That well, really though, that companies might even say that if you do fill out an application, though, that most of the time companies are going to be looking at the process to where that the position that you applied for, and that your experience, and that any recent jobs that you've had. But it sure seems that way toward it. Most of the time, it's a contract. Like say, we would like to talk to you in person. We're not here to talk to the paper. We're not here to talk to the document. We want to actually talk to you in person. So it sure seems that way to where that you want to include something that says, coming soon in person, just because that the fact of the matter is that a lot of things that you're not going to tell that company there right away, just because until you hear that you're hired, that I'm not going to release any information from my side until I hear the words that I'm hired. And sometimes that you just really have to be flexible and coordinate with a lot of these companies, with a lot of these places, and for these job opportunities. So in case of anybody that may ask, is that really though, that what's one thing that you should never include on your resume? What's one thing that maybe you should always include on your resume? And a few keywords though, and a few of those keywords could include something like, really that something like, yeah, you say something like, I'm not available to work weekends. Chances are the companies might want you to work weekends or holidays. Or you might even say something like, you know, yeah, I'm restricted to this, or yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. But it sure seems that way that for any other job opportunity that you may come up to, and you're probably thinking too, is for that. What's the key factor matter about applying for a job? Huh? I'm like, at the time, it sure seems that way. That if you want to say something like coming soon on the cover letter or on a resume, though, that that's basically stating as to where that you are very familiar with the newest technology, with the newest coming soon opportunities coming up. So more chances of a company contacting you about a new opportunity coming up. So it sure seems that way that most companies, even though if you applied on Friday, that maybe within about 7 business days you might be contacted from this company about the job opportunity. And so that's why it sure seems that way that yeah, that companies are going to say that we're not talking about the document. You may have filled out the application online, but when we get your application, that's whenever that we're going to ask to talk to you or meet you in person and talk to you virtually, about the job opportunity. So it's as simple way as that. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, that when you do apply for a job. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and talk about for coming soon, and I hope that helps.